Hey, this is Okay. And today I am back after a long recovery from a massive surgery, life changing surgery. I'm back and I'm feeling good finally. I've battled infections, viruses, blood clot, you name it. It just happened and it was a rough recovery, but I think I've got it all cleared up now. Been in and out of the hospital. They've got me going uh, back like I'm approaching a healthy uh, goal now. So all is going to be much better now. Thanks for being patient with me. I've been writing this Wonka series while I was away. I've been doing some penciled out the comic and did page layouts. And so this little inking thing, as we see right here, is what I've been doing while I've been gone. Um, I don't want to reveal what page this is, but this is Wendy Wonka Chapter 2 in Issue 1. There's going to be 6 issues in this series, and each one's like 16, 17 pages. And each one is going to have pretty much like 2 transformations in each issue. And it's going to be a good comic. I hope that it's going to turn out even better than the first one. That's the plan. There's some interesting things happening in this story that I'm excited about. You'll see Wendy's kind of going crazy, and she's having to run the factory pretty much by herself because the Oompa Loompas have gone on strike. They are not receiving their chocolate because Wendy Wonka is eating it all, and she's kind of buckling under the stress and pressure of taking care of the entire chocolate fetish factory. So it becomes this little game with the Oompa Loompas trying to get back into the factory, get their jobs back, but Wendy Wonka wants to hire new interns and pay them with candy. And it's just a fun story. You'll see Wendy going kind of crazy. You'll see lots of new transformations and a few old ones. In this first issue, we're focusing on like some like cameos from the first chapter of Wonka. We're also doing a pear transformation and a lot of big butt stuff up here. And the pear transformation is the main focus. There's also some introduction going on, story setup, and it's going to be a fun story. So it's a little more, let's say, creative than the first issue. I mean, the first chapter, because the first chapter was creative, but it was also kind of following the formula of the movie, and now we're kind of branching off and kind of creating our own little plot, and it's been fun. We put a lot of thought into it because I have been sick for the past 2 months, and it's just given me a lot of time to think about a story. So I'm thinking it's going to turn out awesome, and you can tell me what your own thoughts on it are probably in 2 weeks. I think I'm about 2 weeks out from finishing this comic. I will give more updates on that as I get closer. But I've inked about 6 pages now, and that means I could be ready for pre-order next week. So I hope you're excited and ready for this comic, because I am. This is a fun comic to be working on. There's going to be a character who's kind of like Tina from Bob's Burgers. I love Tina, and she's just this mix between Tina and who was it? Tina and oh gosh, I can't remember. But we've got like 12 characters going into the factory. Everything everybody's going to be different. One transformation involves 2 people being transformed, but we're going to get a little bit dirtier, a little more adulty, more not safe for work in this comic, and it's going to be a little edgier. So I'm hoping that it just all turns out really good, and this is one of those sequels that turns out to be better than the original. like the original was setting it up for this comic here. So here we are drawing a butt, Wendy Wonka's butt, and she is in a devil costume. All right, so got the legs. This leg looks a little odd, so let's kind of do that to it. There we go. Now we're going to do the arm, back of the arm. I've been watching Office as I've been penciling and inking, and I have to say that show, I don't think I ever finished watching the show, but you know, it really gets, the show really takes the dive when you know, Michael Scott, who is Scott Carroll, is that his name, left the show. But it still has a lot of good episodes. I didn't like the second to last season where the new boss takes over and he's like a sex-crazed hypnotist guy. And I felt like the show just kind of went south on that season. But it really picks back up once he's gone. And that show is just really good. It's all on Netflix. If you get Netflix, you can stream the entire season, or the entire series. It's got like 7 or 8 seasons, and each season has like 30 episodes or 25, something like high number. So there's a lot of time killing that you can do by watching that show. All right, now we've got a giant butt she's grabbing right here. Do some squeezing marks right there. All right. Let's see. She's kind of pulling up, so let's kind of make it look like the butt's being pulled upwards. I guess you wouldn't really see it over here because it's too far away. Let's see. The commissions that I was working on before the surgery, I was only able to do one of the planned 2 commissions just because I ran out of time before the surgery, and I'm sorry about that. I will be taking commissions between issue 1 and 2 of this second Wendy Wonka chapter. Let's see here. I'm going to have to rotate this canvas. Another interesting story is while I was in the hospital, I lost 2 items. You know, 2 different times I was in the hospital, I lost 2 items. One of them was my really nice drawing pen for the Wacom tablets. It's like a $90 pen, and they threw it away with my blankets. So I was in the shower and they came and changed my sheets, and it was gone when I came out. That was pretty heartbreaking, but I've got a new pen, and I did some research on pens while I was looking at a new pen. I actually had a backup pen because you know, I have 2 kids, and one time one of my kids, they're very young, they're like 3 and 1 year old. So one time my daughter just decided to put my pen in a glass of water, and it didn't work anymore. So these things don't run on batteries, but apparently the software or the hardware inside these pens does not like being submerged in water. So yeah, I went ahead and bought a new one, and the next day it started working again, I guess because the water dried out. So I kind of learned my lesson there is like, don't buy a pen before you know it's not working. So sometimes your pen just is like your cell phone. I guess it needs to dry out and then it might work again. If that happens to you, you might not want to do that until you know, the next day. But I went ahead and kept this pen because it was going to be expensive to mail it back and get a refund. So I have that one spare pen, and you know, I'm using the grip pen. I used that for the first few years, and then I had the companion, Wacom companion, and it came with the Pro pen. And the Pro pen actually has a lot more pressure. I feel like the Pro pen has a lot more pressure points and pressure sensitivity. The grip pen is nice, but the Pro pen is nicer. So if you are ever buying a pen for your Wacom Cintiq or companion, the Pro pen is definitely the way to go. Sometimes you have to check the compatibility, because not all pens are compatible with all hardware. So luckily I've got the Cintiq and the companion, and the Pro pen works on both of them. The grip pen does not work on my companion, but it does work on my Cintiq. So that's kind of just a thing that you should consider when buying a pen. But the Pro pen is pretty much the best, top of the line. Alright, so now there we got a butt being grabbed. Let's just leave that, and this probably should go over here. Now we've got the finished inking. Alright, you can tell by just the detail going into this that the other big surprise for this new chapter is Wendy Wonka Chapter 2 is on a new set of page dimensions. So you can see here that there's a lot more detail, and the page size has increased drastically. It's taken me longer to ink and pencil, but it's going to come out looking, you're going to be able to tell a huge difference from the first chapter and the second chapter, just in the amount of detail and how fine the lines are. I'm now using a 6-point weighted line instead of a 4, and it looks pretty much the same. I'm using 4-point for like details within the 6-point, but it's going to make a big difference, and I think that it's going to look amazing by the end. So I hope you are excited about this second chapter of Wendy Wonka. It's getting close to the end. I know I've been out for 2 months, but there's only 2 more weeks left, and then this comic should be ready. So thanks again for watching. I'm Okayokayokok. Stay tuned for more inking videos and coloring videos on the Wonka Chapter 2.